In this video, I'd like to cover four things, and that's going to be what is a label versus a value, how to merge and center your text, how to wrap your text, and the orientation. So let's go ahead and get started here. What is a label versus a value when we're talking about an Excel spreadsheet? I'm going back to the one where we can work on the building of a fence, just a real simple spreadsheet here. A label is something where you're identifying the contents of the cell. So here where I have cost to build a fence is identifying the spreadsheet. Then the quantity, all of these are labels. You're not going to use them in any calculations. All of these are labels. All of column A is labels, and all of row 3, everything here. This information here in the body of the spreadsheet are values. Those are things that I'm going to use to calculate something. So your numbers here, I've got formulas. So those are all values. So when I say the difference between a label and a value, that's what I mean. Now, one of the things that you need to do is merge and center an object. And what we're going to merge and center is this title. We really want several things here. We want it larger. You've done that before because it is an identification. So I'm just going to enlarge this a little bit, and I'm going to make it bold. But wouldn't it be nice if this was centered through the whole spreadsheet? So it covered the top of this. You see how it's slightly to the left. So there's a couple of things we could do. We could grab a hold of this cell and see right at the top of the cell where your insertion point changes to 4 arrows. I could grab a hold of that top and I could drag it over one cell. Well, that doesn't do any good. Now it's clear to the right. So I'm going to do Control Z to undo what I just did. And I want it centered. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold my left mouse down and highlight this range of cells. So I'm highlighting more than one cell, so that's a range of cells. And then on your toolbar, on your ribbon and on your home bar tab, over here towards the right there is a merge and center. And when I click that, look at what happens. Whatever is in that area, in the cell, is centered throughout whatever cells I highlighted. So that's merge and center. Another thing I'm going to do, and I'm going to include this, how do you insert rows or delete rows? This is really tight here, don't you think? Don't you think it would be nice if we had a row in here? So if I highlight row 3, see how it highlights it all the way across? And if I click on that number 3, if I right click on it, some of the things that I come up with on the toolbar is I can insert. That inserts a row. If I want to insert 2 or 3 rows, I highlight 2 or 3 rows here. I right click, insert, and see how I inserted several rows. I don't really want it. I was just using it as an example. So I'm going to delete those extra rows. Now, same thing on columns. If I want to insert a column here, and I'll show you why I'm inserting a column in a minute. Okay, now all I have to do is highlight that column, right click, and insert. So now I have a column. And the reason I wanted to do that is I want to put in here each, another label. These are each. All of these, a lot of these are going to be each. Nails is going to be a box. Hammer is going to be each. Well, I'm real tired of typing that. So I can do a copy, or you see this little box down here? I'm going to enlarge this. You see this little box down here in the corner? I can grab a hold of that box and I can drag it down, and that's the same thing as a copy. And that is called, this little box, this little one right here, that little box is called the fill handle. and the paint is per gallon. So now I have more labels here just by inserting a column. So let's look at here. Now we've done the merge and center, wrap text. Sometimes you have columns where the label up here in the label area, you can see the whole column, but you can't see it because it's hidden by something in the next column. Well, what you can do several things. If I highlight that cell and I go up here once again on the Home tab and I click Wrap Text, you see how that wraps that and it all fits into the one row. I have the same thing here. See, this is a round blade shovel, but you're only seeing round blah. So if I hit merge and center, well, that isn't going to do any good. Wrap text, here we go. And I want to take it off of the merge and center. Let's do this. And let's wrap the text. So see, that line is increased to fit the whole cell. One of the other things you have to do is, and it's a requirement in some of the work that you're going to do, is we want to change the angles on these. Remember, that's the orientation. And the orientation is also up here in your Home tab, and it's over here in your alignment group. And if you click on the down arrow, you have several options. But if I go here to the alignment, and one of the things I can do is I can control how much the angle of alignment. And in your assignment, it tells you to align it to 60 degrees, which is right here. I could type it in. I could type in 60, or I can drag this little handle wherever I want it. So, and I'm dragging it here. It's very difficult when you try to get an exact